think to be able to talk to consumers in, different age demographics is a very unique place to be. But, holistically, it's not really about age, it's about attitude. And our customer is very much, she's trend driven, she's feminine, she's stylish, and she's coming to us. We say she's coming to us from everything from studio to street. And, that's how we sell. We're selling performance sneakers, we're selling lifestyle sneakers, we're selling her activewear for Pilates. We can take her to run club, and then she can put a trench over the top and head out on the street or lunch or even to work.
Hello and welcome. I'm Elizabeth Formosa, the founder of Fashion Equipped and devourer of all things fashion, business and mindset. In this podcast, I'm speaking with thought leaders, change makers and entrepreneurs about the business side of fashion and everything in between. Fashion Business Mindset is your front row seat to real stories from designers, brands, entrepreneurs, makers and mentors. We'll discuss how to launch and grow a fashion business and give you insider access to the future of fashion. So let's do this together and ensure that you're equipped to make the fashion business your business. Welcome back to Fashion Business Mindset. Before we dive into today's dynamic conversation, I want to share an exciting opportunity with you. Fashion Business Mindset has become a leading podcast for fashion founders, retailers, and industry leaders who want real insights and strategies for growth, and was recently recognised by FeedSpot as one of the top 10 fashion business podcasts to follow in 2025. We're grateful for this growth and your support, and we're now inviting expressions of interest from sponsors who feel aligned with our values and would like to collaborate with us to bring even more value to our audience. You might be a product-based brand, a retailer, or a service business, and together we can deliver offers, incentives, and support that help our community thrive in an ever-evolving landscape. If this feels like the right fit for your business, I'd love to connect and discuss sponsorship options with you. You can reach me via Instagram DM at Fashion Business Mindset or email me at elizabeth@fashionequipped.com.au. Now I'd like to introduce today's episode. My guest is Anna Brennan, General Manager of Stylerunner, a leading retailer within the Accent Group that continues to lead in the athleisure and activewear space with a powerful community and omni-channel presence. Anna is a highly accomplished senior retail leader with over 20 years' experience spanning retail, merchandising, marketing, digital and store operations. She's led large-scale retail businesses, built and mentored high-performing teams, and delivered exceptional commercial outcomes across diverse brand portfolios and markets. Recognised for her strategic thinking and commercial acumen, Anna combines a deep understanding of consumer behaviour with data-driven insights to shape compelling retail, product and marketing strategies that drive growth. During our chat, Anna and I discussed doubling Stylerunner's store numbers in just over 2 years, growing footwear to 55% of the product mix with a major pivot into women's lifestyle sneakers, the re-emergence of performance footwear with fashion-forward colours and styles, how Anna and her team curate brands that resonate with female consumers across all ages, blending activewear with lifestyle pieces for a true studio to street experience, building community through national run clubs, engaging both serious runners and stylish beginners, the role of own brand development and partnerships with global brands, balancing data, creativity, and team culture to fuel business growth, and so much more. This is a dynamic conversation with a leading retailer poised for continued growth. I enjoyed every minute of my discussion with Anna, and no doubt you will too. So let's dive in. Anna, welcome to the Fashion Business Mindset podcast.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Can't wait to dive into all things Stylerunner and your career today. Now, let's just set the scene for our audience. Stylerunner continues to lead in the athleisure and activewear space with a powerful community and omni-channel presence. So let's dive into behind the scenes, Anna, and let's talk about how the business is evolving under your leadership. So let's start with your journey. I'd love for you to walk us through your background in retail and share what's led you to your current role as General Manager at Stylerunner.
Okay, so just high level, I think probably from the age of 6, I worked out that I wanted to work in fashion and I wanted to work in buying. I knew where I wanted to be. I finished university, I did a Bachelor of Commerce, and I really kind of knocked on the door at David Jones and begged them to give me a job. So I started at David Jones, worked there for 10 years, did a cadetship, a buying cadetship, and probably, from the age of like 21 to 31, they were pretty important years for me. I was lucky enough to work under Mark McGuinness and Colette Garnsey, who, to me are probably, some of the most experienced leaders in retail. And really, a lot of what I know today is thanks to the experience of working under them. Over and above that, I've worked at the Just Group. So I was lucky enough, again, Mark and Colette were there, and then had, Solly Lou. I was at Glue, so lucky to work under Hilton Seskin, who again is extremely entrepreneurial, and you have a look at what he's done with JD and it's just incredible. I worked overseas, so I worked for Harvey Nichols, and so I was their designer and luxury buyer, and that was probably for me always a pipe dream to work in the UK, because as you would know, the luxury business over there is a lot different to Australia. And under Harvey Nichols, I worked for Avril Oates, who sort of really turned into a very good friend of mine, and she really, in terms of fostering those brand partnerships and, working with luxury brands, she taught me a lot. And then more recently, I'm at the Accent Group with Stylerunner, and very fortunate to be working under Daniel and Steve, who are unbelievable at bricks and mortar retail. So I guess holistically, I've been very lucky to work under these leaders.
Yeah, amazing. What a career, Anna. Like, there's some big names in there from David Jones, your grounding in the industry. I love that. I love it when I have a guest who shares the grounding, and you've mentioned some iconic names there that have obviously mentored you along the way. And no doubt those skills and those values and probably that tenacity for business that you learnt in the early days has served you well now. So from DJs to Harvey Nicks, the Just Group, Glue and the Iconic, and now Stylerunner. Let's dive into what a day in the life of being the GM at Stylerunner is like, and how you've taken all of that amazing experience in the industry into your current role.
One day is never the same at Stylerunner, and Stylerunner is an incredibly amazing place to work, not only because of Stylerunner as the business, but we also fall under Accent Group. So if you kind of think Stylerunner, we're now at 36 stores, which, in the world of retail is not huge. So it's like we're running a small business, but under a very large business. So we get all the benefits of Accent Group, but we also have the autonomy to run Stylerunner as its own business. What the day looks like is for me, it's just spending a lot of time with the team. So I'm really lucky. We've sort of built a very, very strong team over the last sort of 2.5 years. So it can be everything from, I guess it's the balance between the data and the creativity. So, we review our sales and our performance daily. It's, collaborating between the buying, the planning, the VM, the marketing and the digital. I'm really lucky at Stylerunner in that. So our support office is about 30 people. So we're not so big that we're disconnected, and we are, in terms of that collaboration, everyone genuinely wants to be there. Everyone passionately loves Stylerunner. So, in terms of those functions working well together, it's pretty seamless. We have incredible brand partners. So we work with everyone from like Adidas to Nike to PE to New Balance. So it's working with those brand partners on product launches, pulling good stock forward, working on collaborations, on activations. And then, as you mentioned before, 2 years ago, we we're at about 18, 19 stores. We're now at 35, 36 stores as of a week ago. So there's a lot in terms of driving these new store openings, refurbishments, and then identifying future growth opportunities. So no day is the same, but no day is boring, and there's a lot of collaboration that goes into it.
No doubt, with a job at that caliber, no doubt, and the diversity that you've just shared. So is there something in, your day-to-day as GM right now where you just think, oh, this is the sweet spot for me? Is it being involved in the product? Is it the strategy side? Is it the people management? Is there something that kind of trumps
Love.
everything else?
I guess ultimately I'm a product person. That's where I've come from. And, whether it was, I feel like I went into this career because I genuinely love product and I love shopping. So I've harnessed the shopping on someone else's bank account for the
Love it.
business. I mean, sometimes I talk to people, when I was a buyer, and they're like, I can't believe you get paid to shop. And, managing people, it's not just managing people through their work. It's, there's personal aspects, there's sort of, that comes with the level that, being a general manager. And then I think, the other piece is learning. So we'll get, further on when I talk about, but I've had, prior to this was bricks, it was online, pure
Yeah.
play. So now it's really that learning piece in terms of the bricks and mortar and retail excellence. So sweet spot is, I would say, people, learning and product.
So let's dive into that. So how has it been? Because it is quite the transition going from, a few years at a pure play online retailer into now Stylerunner. And as much as you said, there's 36 stores, but those 36 stores have been opened in quite a, what we would say, short period of time. So has it been within 5 years, I think?
Yeah, so I think Accent purchased Stylerunner just over 5 years ago, and they opened Armidale was the
Yes.
first store. So when I started, we were at 18, 19 stores, which was 2.5 years ago. So really 2.5 years ago, and then we've almost doubled again. So it's been a pretty aggressive growth path. But to answer your question, I think that particularly for our consumer, you need to have both. So you need to have bricks and mortar and you need to have, digi online. And I feel like when they both work together and they're seamless, and that's what the customer expects, that's when you get incredible growth opportunities, because digi plays an important part to the consumer and a certain customer. And then so does online, so does physical stores. So getting both channels to work harmoniously together is, where we want to be.
Yeah, that's where the magic happens.
Agree.
You mentioned the customer. Let's chat about the Stylerunner customer. So who is the customer today and how have they evolved over time?
It's interesting. So the customer, and I think this is where Stylerunner is really unique, the customer can range anything from a tween to a groovy granny. So if you go into our Armidale store or our Double Bay store, she's female. Our customer is female only. I think, that's important. But you will see this customer at any age group sitting on whether it's our footwear couch or in our change rooms, trying on outfits, and they do not polarize each other. They all feel comfortable in this environment. And, I've worked with quite a lot of brands, and I think to be able to talk to consumers in, different age demographics is a very unique place to be. So, but, holistically, it's not really about age, it's about attitude. And our customer is very much, she's trend driven, she's feminine, she's stylish, and she's coming to us. We say she's coming to us from everything from studio to street. And, that's how we sell. We're selling performance sneakers, we're selling lifestyle sneakers, we're selling her activewear for Pilates. We can take her to run club, and then she can put a trench over the top and head out on the street or lunch or even to work. So our customer really kind of comes to us for that edit for her from studio to day.
It is a unique position to be in, the tween to the groovy granny. I love that. What's keeping her engaged? Obviously, your product assortment is outstanding. There's a lot of variety there, a lot of diversity. What else is keeping her engaged, such as the in-store experience or loyalty programs or community events? What does that look like in
I
terms of?
think it's a combination. So our customer is very social led. So we work a lot with influencers. We're very sort of social first in terms of our marketing strategy. We do a lot of activations in store with our brand partners in terms of, whether it's launching new product or we have run clubs. So we're rolling out run clubs across every state. And really it's just about, and we're listening to her. So, you would know, but probably in the last sort of 12 months, there's been a real swing back into activewear.
Yeah.
So I think our job is really to listen to her and listen to where she is and then give her the product that sort of solves that end use for her, but with a fashion lens. So everything we do has to be a fashion lens for her.
Yeah. Let's talk about that activewear trend because I think, after kind of 2022, everyone thought it was kind of fall off a cliff and everyone's going to start dressing up again. And, that was going to be the end of the, comfort dressing, but it's gone the other direction. What do you think is kind of driving that? And do you see the longevity there? I know we're going to talk about how you're pivoting and you've got some different concepts with stores and product. But yeah, if you were to take the pulse on that trend right now, how's it feeling?
I think it's back with a vengeance. So I was at the Iconic during lockdown, and the Iconic traditionally we sold a lot of dresses, and then
Yeah.
we absolutely swung into activewear, and brands like P Nation grew exponentially with us. Then we came, and that was when Stylerunner opened its first store in Armidale as well. So Stylerunner was very much all activewear. Then we came out of COVID, and I believe it was all just like you said, that swing into better dressing, and everyone had 8 black tights, or they all had their tights. I think it's really kind of 12, 15 months. Where we really saw it at Stylerunner was in January this year, like new season, new year, new calendar year, new me, and our activewear just absolutely was flying. So we're swinging, but with activewear you've got longer lead times, so we're really swinging back into that. And I think the consumer really is resonating with that. What's driving that? I think it's a combination. So activewear now, there's a reason to buy again. So fashion silhouettes, fashion colors, like what she wants from us is, you would know it's all about burgundy, it's all about chocolate. So she wants head to toe or toe to top, we say sometimes, because we lead with sneakers. She wants it all in brown and she wants it all in burgundy. What also I think is happening is, if you have a look at sort of, Gen Z, there's, the real momentum in terms of their wellness, and, if you sort of, what was traditionally in Sydney, like what were all nightclubs, they're all gyms, like it's incredible. And so really, I think Gen Z and the millennials are really driving that trend. And really, if you have a look overseas, brands like Aloe, Adenola, I think when Adenola did their huge campaign with Kendall Jenner, I think that
Yeah.
put activewear really and back on the spotlight. If you look at, I used to live in London, but Regent Street, now it used to be traditionally a lot of luxury brands, but you've got Aloe, you've got On, you've got all these more kind of active athleisure brands that are taking up prime real estate in our major cities. So I don't believe it's going anywhere, because if you think about in COVID, it was lockdown drove a change in our dressing, our consumer behavior. Really, I think what's now driving is a complete generational change. And, what Gen Z and the millennials are looking for is they want fashion in their activewear. So I
Mm,
feel, and you look at what's going on with run clubs. Like
yeah.
I've been going to Paris for, 20 years. And, 10 years ago I used to run and there wouldn't be anyone running. And, I've been there more recently, and you get bowled over by runners. So if the Parisians are running, then everyone's running. And they do it so much better. They look amazing. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's just a complete change in attitude and lifestyle that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and there's the component of the elevated. Even though you're in your active wear, you still look polished and elevated. So obviously, if you're shopping at Stylerunner, you've got basically it all there. You can get your blazer, and then you can have your active wear
Totally.
pants and your beautiful crop top, and you're going to look cool, but you're going to be comfortable. So
Yeah.
it really is like the fashion, fit, and function kind of all in one, isn't it? That really can take us from, morning to night and everything in
Morning to
between.
night. And we talk about this a lot at Stylerunner. So we talk about, we have two pillars. We have active and we have lifestyle, and we
Yeah,
say that we allow those worlds to collide. So to your point, what's traditionally tailoring, like a blazer, can be worn back with activewear, and a suit pant can be worn back with a running sneaker. And
yeah.
it's almost like breaking the rules and having fun. And if anyone is going to do that, that's the fashion-led female consumer who we
Mm.
believe that we have.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And it's like your wardrobe is actually serving you and your lifestyle. Where we used to kind of, there was kind of, you make it fit, you'd wear anything as long as it looked good. Could be the most uncomfortable thing in the world. As long
Yeah.
as you look good, you were going to actually persevere and tolerate that, but not anymore. We don't have to, which is the
No,
beauty of
and you
being where
look at
we are.
sneakers, like,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
like everyone is like, sneakers are what we wear in the day,
Yeah.
at nighttime. So that's where having the performance sneakers and having the lifestyle sneakers, and the lifestyle sneakers you can wear in a performance way and vice versa. So it's a very fun space to be in.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking back to the days where it was mandatory to wear the heels in the office. And I'm just thinking, if I was in the office, in the capacity that you are now with my sneakers on, my chiropractor would be thanking me, that's for sure.
So good. I mean, I'm in my, not that you need to see my shoes, but I'm in my Salomon XT6 Gore-Tex,
Yeah,
which I can wear walking the dog in the rain because I've got
yeah.
a 10,000 a day step challenge with friends. And then I just put my suit pants on and a trench and off to work. So yeah,
Way to go.
it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely love that. I'm just slightly jealous at the moment. Now, for our listeners, and I'd love to just share from a high level perspective how Style Runner is performing in today's retail climate. There's
Yep.
lots of different opinions going on in terms of e-commerce versus brick and mortar retail and different results across category. We know that you're in a strong position at the moment, but I'd love to share with our audience any of the highlights that you can share, any milestones that you've achieved, and also what's on the radar over the next 12 to 18 months as you continue to navigate this growth and this newness that's coming in.
Sure. For Stylerunner, Accent bought it out of administration 5+ years ago. So we are EBIT positive, we're in EBIT growth, and you can see that, in terms of our store acceleration. In terms of milestones, I think probably a big step change for us was, 2.5 years ago, footwear sat at around 30% of the mix. And traditionally in footwear, particularly lifestyle footwear, it was the male consumer that was the focus for brands, and it was the male consumer who was the tastemaker. But probably in the last sort of 3 or 4 years, like you said, our heels are collecting dust and we are in love with sneakers. So the female consumer is in love with sneakers, and she is now driving the trends. So brands like Adidas and New Balance, Puma, Solomon, etc., they all want the female consumer. So for us, we feel like we're in a very fortunate position. We have our retail staff are trained to service her. And if anything, we are all her. Like when I said we had everything from the tween to the groovy granny, we have that diversity in our office and our retail team. So we feel like we're in a very good position to service her. So in terms of the milestones, probably one of the biggest milestones for us as a pivot in our business was when we started to go after lifestyle as well. And like I said, lifestyle sneakers, girls are wearing their Samba with their leggings, their flares, etc. And we launched the Samba when the appetite was unbelievable. And we basically sold out of our inventory in 24 hours. And even Adidas, where we had 2,000 customers on our website at midnight, probably where I need to call out Tanya, who works in our team, who was online in the middle of the night. It was almost a bit too much for our website. So that was probably a pivot point for us in terms of anchoring ourselves with the brands and with the consumer as a destination for footwear and, lifestyle with a fashion lens. Other milestones for us has been growing our own brands. So with the growth of activewear, Stylerunner, the label, is very much, front of mind for us as a brand and as a business. And you'll notice when you come into our stores, it kind of, sits at the front, is now tripled its space. We're really kind of building brands around that. PE Nation is really the anchor brand outside our own brand and Lilo. And then we're actually just acquiring some new brands, which we'll launch in the coming months, that will really be the foundations for Run and Run Club, because you've obviously got studio, but then you need different athleisure or different activewear for run. Everything will have a fashion lens, but also have the innovation to ensure that, we're supporting her in activities for her end use. But yeah, and then probably the other milestone that we're very excited about is we opened our first Ode store a week ago in Bondi. And Bondi probably is the heartland of Stylerunner. Stylerunner was started in Sydney, so to pull Ode out, and we're on Gould Street, and we've got a sort of a confetti of other brands to support Ode around it, and very complementary to the assortment. But yeah, we're pretty thrilled with week one, and I kind of go, we'll watch this space because potentially there's another growth lever for us.
Oh, it looks amazing online. I'd love for you to share with our audience the concept behind Ode, how it differentiates from your other stores.
So Ode sort of came out of as the trend that we were talking about when activewear started to soften. It was a huge part of the Stylerunner business. So that's when it was decided that actually we need another brand. So Ode launched in, here we go, September in FY24. So it hasn't been around for very long. And really, we've sort of grown it in our now 36 store network. And we know that we have a customer, like if I walk, around, and I feel quite proud, walk around the eastern suburbs or, we're at a store visits in Parramatta, etc. I see a lot of girls wearing the Ode logo now. And I think, it's probably the power of Stylerunner to launch a brand, but also, credit to the own brand team who've really developed product that is on point. And really I think the thought process behind it was that you have to be able to wear a sneaker with it. So it still was in line with Stylerunner, but was offering her, the trench coat and the shirting, etc., that can be worn together or could be worn with activewear.
Yeah. I love it. There's so many exciting things, so many exciting initiatives and milestones that you've just shared over the journey. Can I ask in terms, because you mentioned the growth of the lifestyle footwear for women, you're owning that women's space. What's the product mix across the store? Like, what's the balance between the footwear business and the apparel business, for example, versus accessories?
So footwear sits at around 55% of the mix, but, probably in terms of option count, like if you sort of option width and depth, there's greater depth in footwear and sort of more options in apparel. In terms of where the growth is, lifestyle is in a pretty good space, but it's performance sneakers that we're regrowing again. And that's really based on where the product is now in the market. Traditionally with performance sneakers, we would have to buy a cream, a white and a black because the sports brands would do an amazing execution in lifestyle, but it was quite challenging in performance. It was more for those we had these, the iconic, but a blood, sweat and tears customer who was, really a performance customer, not a fashion-led customer. But the product that's now coming into market, which we purchased back in September last year, because, you would know the lead times with footwear are very long. You're going to see burgundy, you're going to see chocolate, you're going to see animal, you're going to see every beautiful iteration that you see in our lifestyle is now coming to life in our performance. So for us at Stylerunner, we knew that the performance was coming, the run was coming, but the product had to mirror what was right for our consumer, and it's now that the product is right. So we've worked really closely with our brand partners on this, and, we're thrilled to be bringing this to life for Australian summer.
Yeah, that's exciting.
You will love the animal ones. The animal ones are amazing.
That's exciting because it's such a shift, isn't it? Like when you think typically around performance footwear, it's kind of traditional colors, traditional silhouettes, and a little bit boring. So for that lifestyle element to come on over, it's also very motivating for someone who maybe needs a little bit of a nudge to actually start running again.
Agree.
But
And, that's where we're doing our run clubs. We're working with a woman who is Couch to 5K. We understand in our business, we've got this really serious City to Surf runner or the one who's running the marathon, but we've also got a whole lot of consumers who are watching the momentum of Run Club and they want to be part of that. So, but they also want to do it in a fashionable way. So we're working with, I guess, key influencers in the market to not only the ones for the ones that are really kind of, running 10Ks, 20Ks a day, but also the ones who want to get from the couch to 5Ks,
Yeah,
but do it in a glamorous way.
absolutely. You want to look good while you're
You've got to look good. It's,
starting to sweat again.
part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's certainly an incentive. Certainly is for someone like me, that's for sure. Now,
We
Anna,
have to
you've
get you part
mentioned.
of it.
Oh yeah, I would love that. I've missed it. I actually get the reminders on my Facebook. I don't know if you get those. It's like, oh, in whatever year you ran 10Ks, and it
Oh,
shows you the whole circuit. And I'm like, okay, thanks Facebook. There's my little slap in the face reminder. Better get off that couch and
well, so
get to
you
the.
were a runner. Oh, you've got it in your bones. You'll be right
It's somewhere deep down at the moment. I kind of
somewhere.
swapped that out for Pilates and weight training. But yeah, I do love a run. So yeah, maybe watch this space.
Okay, good.
So, Anna, you've mentioned your team a few times. I'd love to dive behind the scenes at Stylerunner because we know it takes a village to do what you're doing. Could you tell us a little bit about the team, a little bit about the culture that you've built under your leadership during your time at Stylerunner? And how do you kind of empower the creativity with the balance of the commercial and everything you have to do to operate at a high standard?
Sure. So the team is incredible. So in terms of the leadership team at Star Runner, it's probably not the most traditional leadership team, but it works really well. So yeah, we're not the traditional, but
Yeah.
and some would say, and I don't know if this should go on the podcast, but some would say we're a bit of a licorice all sorts, but there's a beautiful mixture of creativity, commercial numbers, and I think most importantly, respect for each other. So
Mm,
there's, they all bring to the table quite sort of, I guess, different gifts,
yeah.
but they all, and in those cases where you've got such different people, it could go really pair, but
Yeah.
they all genuinely, and it's taken time for us to all kind of get to know each other, but they all genuinely respect and trust each other. So
Mm,
I believe that if you have that in your leadership team, then it just all filters down. So the minute your
yeah.
leadership team is not in sync, then it can all crumble. And then the team underneath are amazing. Like nothing is a problem. They're all engaged in the strategy. Again, they're all the consumer. I mean, we
Yeah.
have there's a few men in here, but not many. And the men who are in here are an absolute delight. We couldn't do it without them. And we celebrate our wins. We have like a selling sunset bell where, we ring if we've got an amazing collaboration or got an incredible result or whatever it is. So we celebrate the small wins. And I think there's just a genuine sort of trust and respect for each other, which then
Mm.
creates a beautiful culture.
I love that. Is all I heard was licorice all sorts, and I love it. We should definitely leave that in.
They might kill me for saying it, but leave it in. They'll
I
love it.
love I love that. It's like everyone's point of difference. That's what really brings the magic. And as you said, it works. It's working in synergy. So,
Mm.
that's amazing. And so you mentioned earlier about you really are able to run Style Runner kind of as its own business within the Accent Group, because that was going to be one of my questions, because you are within a very large organization.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you and your team are able to work autonomously while having the best of both. You've got the support of, resources and so forth of the big organization, but it sounds like you're running your own show.
It's great. So I think, you've got Accent Group is incredible in that it is huge. Like we are now at 900 stores, 30
Yeah.
brands. But the CEO, Daniel, has a genuine interest in every business. And, for someone who has such a huge role, time is precious for him, but he's very generous with his time. So he'll dip in, he'll give his he calls these 2 bob, 3 bob, 4 bob, which is very welcome because he's a seasoned retailer. But then he also then hovers out and lets us run our race. So he and Steve are there. They're very much there when I need them, so I don't feel not supported, but they
Mm,
also give me enough leash that I can, run with the leadership team and run with the
yeah.
team to execute a strategy, which, we're now in kind of year 2.5 of that strategy. And, we've evolved and we've learned, but we've essentially, it's not like we've chopped and changed. I feel very lucky to be in Stylerunner and under Accent.
Yeah, amazing. Sounds like a really empowering dynamic and culture, which is great to hear. Now, I'd love to dive into sales and marketing. We've touched on some of these elements a little bit earlier, but our listeners will always like to know what the strongest sales channels are. I mean, you've had, started as a very strong ecom business, now
Yeah.
30 plus stores. And then,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, you've had Ode open up, and there's also other elements that you're doubling down on in terms of growth. But what are the strongest channels, and what have been the most, outstanding, say, marketing campaigns and activations that perhaps come to mind as, the highlights over the journey?
I think in terms of so for us, like you said, we started in online and only opened stores from sort of 5+ years ago. So we still have a very strong digital business, a lot higher than most retailers. But as we continue to grow our bricks and mortar, that mix is I think most retailers will sit at 15 to 20%. In terms of what works for us, we've got to get a balance between our performance marketing and also what we do in terms of in-store to build that community and that kind of customer engagement.
Yeah.
Our customer is very social led. So we spend a lot of time with a social first mindset. And more recently, we've just created a new role. And I'm pretty excited about this. We've got a girl who's coming from our store network, and she's been at Stylerunner pretty much from the beginning, and she will start to create more organic content for us for Stylerunner. And we've done some tests with her. So her name's Tegan, and she's divine. So she's worked in Parramatta, she's worked in the city, and she's worked in Macquarie, quite a lot of our stores. So she really does understand the nuances of the variance in the consumer, but also the Stylerunner brand. Organic content is important for us. So really, in terms of those marketing channels, we don't do anything in isolation. It's really making sure that every customer touch point there's consistency for her. TikTok's our fastest growing. That's interesting. But yeah, in terms of that customer acquisition play, we're probably lucky in that we also have, having been at the Iconic where, you'd have to really buy that customer. We have the customer that comes into our stores. So we, have quite a high sign up rate. So not only is there the performance marketing piece, but there's the customer acquisition play that goes on in store.
Yeah, makes sense. And as you said, it all works as one ecosystem. It's got to work in
Totally.
synergy. The organic content, I'd like to dive into that a little bit more. What are you thinking? What's kind of the strategy? Are you thinking more behind the scenes? Are you going to be doing more content around your team? Is that something that your audience is craving?
Definitely. Definitely. And I think, we've done in the past content in store, etc. And quite a bit of the content in the past Tegan has created. But I think being able to create that content and almost have an identity, a face for the brand, and being able to just talk about new deliveries, the features and benefits, whether it's a new suiting pant for Ode that, I'm making, I know this is, that's got elastic at the back, and, it's all those it's just those nuances. And also, in a way, having someone create content, and I think, influencers play such an important role, and they're very important to Stylerunner, but also having someone that is just unique to Stylerunner is something that our customer really is engaged with. So, the engagement we've had so far with just some of the content she's created has been amazing.
Yeah.
And it just feels real. It's authentic, isn't it?
It is. It's
Yeah.
that authenticity. How does the team, can I ask how the team feels about stepping in front of the camera? Because times have really changed, right? And think about way back, you'd be working for an organisation for 10 years and no one ever asked you to get in front of a camera and, be on social media. But it's a very different dynamic now. How are the team kind of leaning into some
I love
participation
it.
behind the
I
scenes? They
love
love it.
it. So we create we've, over the time, we've created content here. Within even the office, we've got some of the content. We've got like Grace, who, did an incredible time in City to Surf. So she's creating some run content for us. Then
Yeah.
Tanya is also a professional dancer. So she teaches the support office dancers. And, a lot of that in terms of even TikTok, they just love that content because it's real. And, our office is beautiful, but it's not picture perfect. So we just do it how it is. And, showing you deliveries and so the behind the scenes, and I think the real authentic content is we want to continue to do more of it. And, using team it's real.
Yeah, it is real and it stops the scroll. It certainly stops me scrolling. I just like, there's nothing I love more than a behind the scenes and just humanizing of a brand. It's like, oh, that's what actually happens to make that happen. All of that
Mm.
work went into that
Yeah.
product being delivered into the store. I think it's just pretty powerful content. And it's great that the team are embracing that
Oh, I
because
love it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it shows through as well, just in the high vibe content as well. You
Thank you.
mentioned influencers are really important as well. How have you approached the whole influencer strategy space, and will that evolve going forward? And will they become more brand advocates, like long-term partners, rather than kind of post for
Yeah.
product? Is that the way that you're approaching it?
Yes, and I think it's sort of we have a family of influencers that we use consistently. So,
Yeah,
we have our pillars that are performance. So that's where we engage with more sort of wellness and active led influencers. And then
yeah,
we also have our lifestyle pillar where we engage with influencers that really, they style the product in a way that is right for Stylerunner and right for our consumer. We have a combination of paid and gifted influencers and, micro influencers. And we've obviously just done the collaboration with Martha. She's a big influencer. So it's everything from product collaboration to, ensuring we had our Ode event in Melbourne. And, that's where we really wanted to talk to the sort of more the Melbourne fashion influencers because that,
yeah.
we see that as important for Ode. So it's not a one size fits all. We really kind of tailor it based on where we want to be with that product and who we believe the end user is. But we are quite consistent in terms of the family of influencers that we use because I think like everything, consistency is where you will win.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Is there anything that you'll be doing different in terms of marketing strategy, apart from the organics that you've already mentioned, that we'll see coming down the pipeline at us from Stylerunner?
You'll definitely see more run from us. So,
Yeah,
like I said, it's just that celebration. When the product is right, that's when we move. So the
yeah,
product really, you'll see the new like Evo SLs come in the most incredible color iterations. You'll see the fuel cell in New Balance coming in. We've got an exclusive burgundy and a pink. So we will absolutely amplify run, and you'll see that everything from our campaigns to our customer journey to the stories we tell in store. And then I think the other piece will become more separate to Star Runner is what we do with Ode. So we shot
yeah.
our campaign over in Paris, which was amazing. And it's really, for us, we see it as another lever for growth. So it's how we amplify that.
Now, Anna Stylerunner is known for its highly curated brand mix. I'd love to know what you look for when you're onboarding new brands. How do you ensure each brand aligns with your customers and values? Because we'll have a lot of people tuning in right now thinking, I'd love to see my brand in Stylerunner.
I love this question because I think Style Runner, again, one of the key learnings is when you're a digital online player, your walls are very flexible. But when you are bricks and mortar with digital, it really has to be a curated edit and we have to be really picky about what comes in. But where we see the greatest success is where we incubate new brands. And I've got a very talented buying team. Like they are honestly the most incredible team and they've got the most incredible eye. And they can pick everything from a really, really small brand and grow it over time to, making sure that more established brands like the PE and the Annapelli and the Adidas, the New Balance, the Salomon, etc., that we have the best curated assortment for our consumer. Unlike other retailers where they might be only footwear or only apparel, we want to tailor her from toe to top. So we want her to come in and get her footwear, get bottom of body, top of body, even like her sunglasses. So we've launched like Saint Laurent and Gucci, and we've got Love Lou, and we're just now in the midst of our beauty acquisition because we believe we've got her all the way up to her head and we just need to look after her face, but with a beautiful edit and
Yep.
her hair. So we've got a cap, but we don't have her hair product and her face product. So we launched Buoy, which is Celeste Barber and Claire Greaves' brand. So Claire
Yeah.
is one of the founders of PE Nation. And we launched that last week and we saw an incredible engagement. Celeste went into our store in Pack Fair. And really that product, I don't know if you've used it, but if you haven't, we need to
Not
get you
yet.
some. It's absolutely incredible. And it goes with the philosophy of Style Runner is it's simple. It's not overly complicated. It's the incredible mascara that that, you go swimming, you're in the rain, it won't come off. It gives you
Yeah.
the beautiful glow. You can put your lips on your cheeks, etc. Low maintenance, but incredible. So that's the beginning of our brand acquisition there. But, like I say to our beauty brands that we're talking to, we're not going to have, huge respect for retailers like Mecca and Sephora. We just need to have just the edit that's right for our consumer. So it's 1 or 2 brands per category. It's for her journey when she's buying her outfitting. We say we style her, we don't sell her, and that's just all part of her experience at Stylerunner. So watch beauty, watch run, watch our own brands. We're launching 2 new own brands, which are very exciting. So Fell will be relaunched in October, so that's with Elle Ferguson. And then we are launching Lido, which is essentially ensuring that Stylerunner, the label, is all activewear, and then we take all the fashion out under another brand, under Lido. So we're just kind of, I guess, simplifying the assortment in store.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I love how you said earlier that you will incubate new brands. So you're really investing and you're nurturing them. And so there's that kind of long term, you've got the vision for being in it for the long haul as well. And I love the top to toe experience because, you've got her there in the store, or whether she's online or in the physical store. And as we know, it's just so easy to reach for those skincare products where you've got, just got your outfit, you're all styled up. And you're like, yeah, I'll just have that. That's kind of the finishing touch, isn't it?
Just add to it. And I think, for any new brands, like, just send them through, because the team, as long as they sort of fit our DNA, that they've got personality. So sometimes I go into some of our Stylerunner stores and I go, oh my God, there's more personality here than, there's the beautiful minimalistic trend that's going on, but Stylerunner's in another sphere. So personality and has a sort of feminine, cool undertone. That's our jam, so to speak.
There's the brief, everyone. Don't
Yep.
hold back. Don't hold back. You might be inundated, Anna, with new people throwing their brands at you soon.
Great. Bring them on. We've
I
got
love it.
there's a good story. We picked up a t-shirt brand a year ago, Maku, and she's now been picked up by a lot of retailers. She hand paints all her designs. She will be doing our Christmas packaging for us. We did a campaign with her and some exclusives for Mother's Day. So she's a mum. So, supporting a mum who's resigned from her full-time job and creating a new business. So I just think, ultimately, if the product's right, then we'd love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go. There's an open invitation, everyone. Our audience will be extremely excited. Now, and I'm going to flip the light onto you right now. Your role is extremely fast-paced and dynamic. So I'd love for you to share with our audience what habits or routines that you have in place that help you stay energized and be able to lead and operate at your best.
Okay. So I think for me, I've obviously got 3 young children. I've got a husband who works full time. He has quite a big job. For me to be the best version of myself, and we talk about this a lot at Stylerunner, I want the team to be the best version of themselves, the customer to walk out and be the best version of themselves. So for me to be the best version of myself, I have to exercise. So exercise, I don't do long to-do lists. It's whether it's going for a walk, going for a run, ocean swimming, which I love. It's, squeezing that in the mornings. And if it's getting up really early, it just allows me to come into work and have a very clear mindset and maintain a level of calm. And really often when I'm, running or swimming, because swimming's quite good because you can't hear anything, that's when I kind of really just think about, okay, what's going on this week? What do I need to prioritize? I guess it's a time for reflection. For me also, having 3 young children, there's probably a bit of a sacrifice in terms of social, because I get to the weekends and I just want to spend as much time with them as possible. But then that again makes me a better version of myself and my team. So it's quite simple. And I guess ultimately, to do this job 5 days a week, the stores don't close on the weekend, it's 7 days a week. You have to love what you do. And as long as you love what you do, it's not a job. It becomes just part of your life. That's probably, in a super simple summary, that allows me to be a better manager for my team.
I think I read somewhere you get up at 4 a.m. to do your exercise. Is that still relevant? Is that still right?
Yeah, I do get up quite early. I do get up quite early. I'm probably a little bit, I think it was my cousin said this. We're all a little bit like on my mum's side of they're like solar panels. So, in summer I can get up crack of dawn. Winter it's probably a bit more bear like hibernate, but
Yeah.
maybe not 4, maybe 5:30. But yeah, it's just, you need to do that with 3 young children.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's it.
And they're the anchors, aren't they? Like you said, it's simple. It sounds simple, but it still might be a 4 a.m. wake up call. But it's grounding. As you said, you've got your exercise, you're able to process your family time on the weekend. So they're very grounding, amongst your role where it's very dynamic. And as you said, fast paced, and there's kind of no clock on, clock off because, it is a 7-day a week business.
The stores don't. I mean, the stores are, within hours, but then the website's on the whole time. And
Yeah.
then I think the only other thing for me is surrounding myself with like-minded women.
Yeah.
And, I guess over the years being in this industry, you don't need 1,000 of them. You need like a handful, if that. And,
Yeah.
I've got an incredible group of women, sort of meet for dinner once a month. We're always there to support each other. A lot of them are in similar roles to me, or they've got their own sort of PR businesses or their own brands. They're juggling a family,
Yeah.
juggling sort of husbands working full time. So that's very much a support for me and a very good vehicle for, if there's something challenging, dinner can be everything, a giggle, a gossip to a bit of a session of help me here. So
Yeah.
that's been really amazing as well. And that's just come from relationships over a long period of time.
I love that. Being in like-minded company with people who get it and can support
Yeah.
you. It's so
Yeah.
important. So
Yeah.
important. Anna, is there a book or a podcast or a mentor that kind of stands out that you'd like to mention for our audience?
We talk about women in business, and a lot of us have had time out to have children, etc. And probably Colette Garnsey is someone that I've always looked up to. I really admire, my career to anything like hers, I would be sort of ecstatic. I think she always holds herself in a very sort of calm, well-mannered, she's highly intelligent, and she's managed to juggle family, career. She now sits on a lot of boards. So even when I was talking to Accent for this job, I, went and spoke to Colette to just sort of go, what do you think? So she's
Mm,
definitely someone who I like to touch base with, and someone whose career I've really admired.
yeah, amazing. And do you read? Like, do you read books? Do you tune into podcasts, audio books? Are you someone who likes to continue
Or
learning?
audio books, I do. I have to admit, I would love to say I read more books than I do, but I
Yeah.
often, by the time I get to nighttime, I pretty much fall asleep. But audio books are great. In terms of the audio books, like I've just listened to The Educated by Tara West. Do you know that
Okay.
one?
I haven't
And
read that one.
it's amazing. It's about this woman who grew up in Utah, and her father was a Mormon, family Mormon, and then he was bipolar. And it just basically, she wasn't educated till she managed to get a scholarship at Oxford University, and it just talks to her journey. Yeah, really. And now she's a doctor at, I think, Oxford University. So where I quite like to, if I read a book or a podcast, I like it to be an escape, and,
Mm,
and I like it to be a true story, because I think, the more you listen to people's stories, the more you can reflect on, A, you can learn from their stories, and B, you can also sort of, I guess it puts things into perspective.
yeah. Yeah.
It's
I like that.
humbling.
I need to read more books like that because I typically it will be something that's quite practical. Like at the moment, I'm reading Buy Back Your Time, and it's
Oh
a
yeah,
very
good.
practical book. It's like, you do the self audit. It's like, where are you spending your time, and, delegation and all of those things, and there's always a lot of storytelling, but it is a very practical, something you need to implement. But I agree, when you're listening to other people's stories, you kind of get lost in, their journey, and you can see where there's synergy in your own life. And it's a whole
Totally.
different dynamic. So a little bit lighter, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very nice. Very nice. Now, Anna, as we look towards the future of fashion and retail,
Hmm.
what's exciting you most about the future?
I think what's the most interesting for me is I think what's going on with AI. We're only just touching the sides of it. And I'm definitely not an expert. In terms of where I would like to read and progress my knowledge, it would be definitely in AI. I think that with AI, there will be so many opportunities to save time that will then allow higher thinking and allow more strategic thinking. But I think you can't put your head in the sand and think it's not going to happen. It's happening. And like all technology and innovation, there'll be so much upside. And I do think that if there's any way to take away admin or basically get data and pull out information in a quicker way, then strategically, and you would understand this, Elizabeth, being a consultant, the faster you can crunch that data and get information, then the better you can make strategic decisions and data-led decisions. There's also instinct that needs to play in there as well. I think having tools that can allow us to digest and bring information up because there's so much information that you can get. And in my world, there's so much data. Like you can go into data holes. Having something that can ingest that and pull it out for decision making, I think is pretty amazing. So AI for me is one to watch. And I do think, where we are now versus 5 years versus 10 years, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm all about AI at the moment. I'm learning as much as I can. And as you said, even think about data. As you said, the amount of data in your role that you've got to go through to be able to drop that into AI and say, look, just give me 5 bullet points of the most, the highest impact priority tasks that I could implement in the business right now to move it forward. Just give me those as a start. And then away you go. Obviously, you've got to know the subject matter. You've got to be able to validate that answer, all of the things, because it can make you look quite silly if you don't know the subject matter, because it doesn't always get it right. But I think exactly what you said, it's the human side working in synergy with AI to get the best impact. Because we all spend a lot of time on those lower level tasks, and you go down the rabbit hole and all of a sudden 4 hours is gone. You're like, hang on a minute, I was actually meant to be over here doing that. And so if AI can come in and help, not just yourself, as a leader of the business, but the team. And as you said, then the team is focused on high impact tasks. I think that's a win-win. I know there's a lot of controversy around content creation at the moment and AI models and all of those things. But, if we wind back the clock many years ago, we could liken that to other things that were happening, Photoshop. And
I agree.
It's not going to be easy for certain areas of our industry. There is going to be certainly a transition and an adjustment, but in other areas of our industry, it's going to have a powerful, positive impact. So it's like anything, we want to be using it for good in our business and to really elevate our businesses. So I couldn't agree more. I'm super excited about AI and innovation and automation, all of the things.
Automation. Agree. It takes it up to a higher level, actions.
Yeah, all that time saved on now being able to implement and move forward rather than drowning in the data and analysing it. Just flipped it. You flipped that switch to be focusing your time on, higher impact. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Our pleasure.
Anna, you have been very generous with your time and your insights today. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Congratulations to you and to your team, everyone at Stylerunner, and all of the success you've had over the years. We're super excited with what you shared today about what's coming down the pipeline, and watch this space, everyone. And we can't wait to see what Stylerunner does next.
Oh, thank you. And thanks, Elizabeth, for having me. It's been wonderful. And thank you for your precious time and letting me talk about Stylerunner.
Thanks, Anna. Thank you for tuning in to Fashion Business Mindset. We'd love to stay connected. Fashion Equipped is a leading Melbourne-based consultancy, partnering with fashion and lifestyle brands, retailers, wholesalers, and industry leaders globally. We specialise in strategic advisory, growth planning, and brand elevation, empowering fashion businesses to scale with confidence and impact. I invite you to head to fashionequipped.com.au to join our mailing list and receive the monthly edit, your go-to source for industry insights, business optimization strategies, and free trend reports. While you're there, explore our consulting services, our online learning and mentoring programs. We'd also love to connect on Instagram. You can follow us at Fashion Equipped and at Fashion Business Mindset for more industry insights and inspiration. We're here to help you navigate the business of fashion and take your brand to the next level.
This is a Guide Your Light network production, creating podcasts with purpose.